are live, you are live.
Everybody, the lions have just called. As you came live, they've just called. You're on a live safari here. The lions, the dawn has broken, and they're just yelling their last before the day starts. I think they're just behind us. Let's go and have a look. My name is James Henry. On camera today, 6'4" of Brian Joubert and his thumb, which is about 5'3". Same size as me. We're going to head round the corner and see if we can't find these lions. You are on a very live safari. It's wonderful to have you with us. It's 6:30 in the morning here in the Kruger National Park, well, the western fringes thereof, and we're in the middle of 8 million acres of untrammeled wildlife wonderland. That's 3.5 million hectares, depending on your bent. It's 12 degrees Celsius, apparently 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels like about -30. But that's just because I'm a little bit of a wimp when it comes to the winter. The lions have just been calling down here right now, so we're going to drive around quite quickly. I think they're in this drainage system or just across it. I've just missed the road because I'm so totally overexcited. Please do talk to us at any stage during this drive. #SafariLive on Twitter is the best way to do it. The other people out searching for things today include Stefan Winterboer, being filmed by David, and he'll be helped and ably assisted by Herbert, the tracker. Oh, big bumps. I'm just going to quickly call these lions in. I think they were calling just down here somewhere. There they are. Stations located 2 male lions at Djuma Dam. Animals are static. Isn't that wonderful, everybody? Let's hope they call again. We will get a little bit closer, but let's just bask in the joy of seeing them. Affirmative, 2 male lions. There's another one calling, that's why they've just looked. There's kudu alarm calling way off to the east. You can hear them going, bow, bow. Wonderful stuff. Yeah, definitely some big alarm calling off to the east. That's exactly what those lions are looking at. Maybe a leopard's wandering through the bush there. What a joy. Let's just sit here, everybody. We're about eye level with them. We can go round to the other side, but we've just got such a lovely frontal view of these two fellows before they pass out. And what I think is interesting, I'm pretty sure these are the two Birmingham males. I'm 99% sure that they are. Look at the difference in mane colour. We've got a red head there, I guess, and across to the other side, a slightly more darkly grizzled maned one. Of course you can text, no, move in. And that dark mane is indicative of a greater level of testosterone. I'll tell you what, we are going to go a little closer, just because if they call again, I want to get the microphone as close to their vibrating hyoid apparatuses as possible. Should we go down in there, Brian? That might be quite nice. What do you think? Then they can look down on us as a meal. Hopefully not. Nobody wants to be a male lion's meal. No. If you're wondering why I appear to have an enormous chorb underneath my hat over here this morning, this is because Jean-Andre has decreed that the microphones will now dwell under the hat. I don't in fact have a chorb. That poignance is my microphone. Hello, men. I might have to take a picture of you. That's rather spectacular, having them at eye level there, Brian, if they're not a little intimidating. Intimidated, Brian?
Highly intimidated.
You sound utterly terrified. Now they're listening, and hearing things that we cannot hear. because their ears are so much better than ours. This early in the morning. We can also largely because we don't have to drive around now, we can sit still in the cold on this area. So wherever you are in the world, I hope that you are enjoying the sight of 2 male lions in the morning. Certainly for us a rare joy. And thank you for your screenshots. This is a great angle to be looking at these things, of course, because they're basically sitting about 3 feet above us, which is fantastic. Normally we're looking down on them. Mimo, you want to know why I'm so quick and sure to say B-boys, or Birmingham boys? I'm really not that quick to say that, because I'm not actually very good at recognizing animals at all, and I just think that the chances of them being someone else are extremely remote, given that they are the right age. They look about 5.5 years old. And I think that I recognize them, but I might be wrong. They've got those scarred noses. In fact, that one, the blondie, is definitely, I recognize a pattern of scars on his nose. That's him there. Yes. Now, we are going to spend a bit of time here and just see if they don't call once more. Hello, Mr. LeBeau-Bob. I think we haven't heard from you for a little while, Mr. LeBeau-Bob. You want to know if these guys are from a larger coalition? Absolutely they are. They're from a coalition of 4 that used to be 5. One of them, unfortunately, has shaken off this mortal coil, passed on, is now X. We're not really sure how he died. We think he came off second best after a bit of a fight with the buffalo a little while back. But there are 4 of them now. I don't know where the others are, but there was one calling when we stopped there to listen. There was another one calling well off to the south. So I think they were responding to him. I'm pretty sure it would have been another Birmingham boy that they were shouting at. Right, now we're going to just give you a quick look from the dam camera. Now the dam camera, of course, is the camera that is, well, on the dam, isn't it, Brian? And you'll be able to see where we're sitting in relation to these 2 lions. And that's quite a nice picture. Have we got that up, Kirsten? And of course the zoomie, who's controlling that camera, is very enthusiastically zooming in on the lions. Now that camera sits at about, I don't know, 200 and 150 meters from here, 400 times 3, 500 feet from here. My friend, I'm just going to go a little bit forward so that Tax can have a decent view. Rachel, you say these lions scare you this close, even though you're sitting in Maryland. You're right. Rachel, I don't think you should be afraid. You should definitely be wary. We always watch their behavior. And of course it is very easy to become massively complacent with lions, because they do tend to do so much of very little. And so it's easy to become complacent and think that they're not going to do anything, that they're just going to be sort of almost mindless and not pay any attention to you, but that isn't the case. And so it's a good idea to remain very vigilant of their behavior. But these chaps are not in the slightest bit affected by us. You can see they've hardly paid us attention. And now one of them's gone back to sleep. I'm really hoping that the new sun is going to just pop up as they call again. To hear them calling from this distance, I tell you, will be something spectacular. Although sleep seems to be their main thought now. You can see the incredible scarring that male has on his face, and that's because he's a male lion must fight. He must fight to take a territory, he must fight to keep a territory, he must fight to get food when he's at a kill with his brothers, or when he's with the lionesses that he's stealing from. But it's a life of a very physical nature, that of a male lion. He's got a luxuriant salon quality beard there, doesn't he, Brian? I wouldn't say it's quite as impressive as your locks, but I mean it is still not bad. They've heard something else you can see there. What he's heard, I'm not sure. Hello, James in Springs. Nice question from you. So what keeps these lions from being threatened? It's the same thing that keeps you being threatened when you are walking down a street that is full of traffic. Although potentially dangerous, those vehicles could try, they'd obviously run you over if you sort of walked into the street. But because you're familiar with them, because you're familiar with what they do, how they operate, it's highly unlikely that you're going to get run over. Now, it's exactly the same thing with these lions. They are used to us, they know us. Well, they don't know us personally, but they're used to vehicles. And so they're not worried about vehicles in the slightest. And that's why they're not intimidated. But they're aware. I mean, you saw them watch us as they came up. They're also, the other thing with these guys, James, is that they habituate to vehicles so quickly because they are so confident. They're completely confident in their own ability. These guys are the dominant male lions of this area. They've got absolutely nothing to be worried about. Oh, here we go. Jerry, you want to know about the biggest prey that these two lions will be able to take out? Probably, you mean just on their own? Jerry, these guys will take out a male buffalo on their own. They are big enough and strong enough to do that. So, if they really wanted to, they could take out a big buffalo. But I think more likely that they would snack on smaller things, maybe a buffalo cow, or maybe an isolated sort of large nyala or large kudu, but they will eat impala. I think a lot of the time we think of lions being sort of killers of very large prey like buffalo and giraffe and that sort of thing. But in actual fact, they kill quite a lot of smaller things, but we just don't see it. So if these two were to kill an impala during the night, they would devour it before we got anywhere near them. And they certainly look pretty well fed. They don't look fat, but they look well fed. So Joey, that's what I reckon as far as what they could kill, but whether they would or not, I don't know. Now this chap, is this the chap with the mange? Yeah, I think it is. I think this is the fellow with his mange. Although he's got a very impressive dark beard, he's also got a case of acne. He's got a horrible skin condition behind his mane, which I don't think it will affect him too much. It'll just irritate him. You can see him. He doesn't look very regal like that, does he, Brian? He looks like a sort of sleepy Labrador. Ooh. He didn't like being called a sleepy Labrador there. There's some baboons calling. They've spotted these lions. I just really hope they call again, but I think they've probably called their last, I'm afraid. Let's see. Maybe they'll call again. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I hope they will.
Quite possibly not. Right, while we wait and see what these chaps do, let's go across to Steph and get an idea of what he's going to be up to on foot this morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the Sunrise Bushwalk with myself, Steph. Dave's on camera, and aren't you lucky this morning to be with those lions? I know they kept us awake early this morning, definitely shaking through our rooms and making us cringe under our blankets. But have a look at this beautiful sunrise that we got going right now. We're looking straight west. We're looking at the Drakensberg escarpment, and have a look at the bushveld that's in the distance there. That's just getting the first rays of the sun. It's a chilly morning, I must say. Excuse my nose if it's a bit shiny, and my lips are a bit tight from driving out here. But we're right on the eastern side of Djuma right now, close to Cheetah Plains. And, not Cheetah Plains, close to Torchwood on the Cheetah cut line. I think Dave almost tripped over on that stick. And I'm planning on walking a drainage line this morning that I haven't walked in a long, long time. Probably 4 or 5 months where I am now. It starts here somewhere. I don't actually know exactly where the terminal point of this drainage line is, but we're going to be going into it just in front of here. I don't want to keep you away from your lines for too long. I know James is dying to talk to you about them. See you in a little while.
Right, so there they are, everybody. There are the lions now starting to get moving. What a wonderful shot that is, of them just greeting each other and now heading off, seemingly towards the east. Let's follow up. This is fantastic. Right, we'll flick around quickly. Put my gloves back on before I freeze my hands to death. Right, we are practicing, remember everybody, for the TV. And that means we're going to do things like advertisement breaks. Of course, that is utterly meaningless to anything you're going to see. We're just going to have it in our ears, and I might practice sort of crossing over to an advert break, which will be totally nonsensical to you. But it is important for the TV stuff that we do. This is fantastic. Look at that shot of them there walking along the damn wall. That's fantastic. And this new camera of ours has got this lovely image stabilizer, which means we are able to show that to you while we move. Not so, Brian. Oh, look at that. Isn't that awesome? That's such a great shot. So we're going to go to an advert break in 20 seconds. Stay with us. The lions we're going to stay with. And let's see if they call again. See you soon. Now, obviously that's completely nonsense. We're not really in an advert break. Listen, here we go. is awesome. Just fantastic. What an awesome sound. I don't know where they're going to go from here. One's going east, one is just over here. I suspect they'll follow each other. There's some elephants I can hear to the basically to the right hand side of where that lion is standing. He's not thinking about them. He is in excellent condition. He really is in very, very fine nick. Right, let's follow them through here, everyone. Hello, Pon. Pon, you're a new viewer, and it's wonderful to have you with us. You say, do we feed these lions or do they hunt on their own? Pon, we're in the middle of an open wildlife system, which means that there is no feeding of the animals at all. We watch them and we observe them, but they hunt for themselves completely. These male lions, of course, are largely sort of scavenging, if you like. They steal kills from other animals and from female lions. They're very good at stealing, but they hunt for themselves. We are here purely as observers, so we're driving around, we're watching the animals, we track them and see if we can find them, but there's no interference from us. Now, going that way, I'm going to try and get through this little thicket by going around it. Just going to keep an eye. They are still moving through there, and if we're lucky, we'll catch the golden light on them very soon. It is going to make a little bit of noise, everybody. Just remember that the noise is, well, it does sound worse than it actually is, and all of these trees that we're running over are generally popping up behind us, and if they aren't, they're often encroacher species. Okay. Now I'm going to welcome everybody back to the imaginary TV show with a replay, so don't be startled when that happens. You got them, bro? There we go. He's just moving through there, everyone. Bit of a noise here. There's the other one in front of us. There he is. Well, welcome back, everybody. You're live here from the Kruger National Park. The lions have been calling while you were away, so take a look at this. Oh, listen, here we go. They're calling again. It's just the one in front, the dark-maned one. Let's see if his brother calls. A little bit closer, so that if he does call, we hear him. Isn't that fantastic? Covey, we are following to Mobile east towards Gari Catline. Go again. Sorry, I've just got to be on the radio, everyone. Can't hear what's going on there. Yeah, there they are. They're both straight in front of us there. Just very difficult to get a picture while we're moving, everyone. So we'll just get a quick look so that you can see where they are, and then I'm going to move again because I don't want you to. So we don't want to lose them. They are going to pop out on the road not too long from now. So I'll see if I can't find a route around. No, I think they are taking the path of least resistance, so I think we'll probably just stick behind them. They're just through there, straight into the sun. Just get a picture for you there as they go. Isn't that lovely? The light on them is so very beautiful. Okay, we'll try and get out now onto the road so we can get a picture of them before they cross into the drainage. I think they're going to go probably east into a very difficult drainage line area. Hello Deborah, Armchair Traveller, lovely to have you with us again. And you say, oh look, spraying. Right, you can just see the urine dripping off the tree there. And Deborah, that answers your question for you. You want to know why they're calling like this. They're calling like this, Deborah, purely because they're marking territory. I don't think that they sense other male lions. This is just what they do. It's a territorial boundary patrol, and they're just doing it with a great aplomb. Go again. Last station, go again. Yeah, copy, it's fuel. Thanks very much. So we've got a bit of a fuel leak that we'll have to sort out. Right, here we go into the drainage system. Now it's going to be very difficult to pick them up once they go through here, everyone. So I'm just going to park here. We might get what... Oh, here comes the other one out of the bushes in front of us. But this might be one of the last views we get of them. Maybe they'll go to sleep down here. That would be nice. Beautiful light on him there, isn't it? I can hear others calling now. Right, going north rather than east. That's a good thing for us. Although this chap next to us has got very tired suddenly. He does look like an irritated Labrador. I'm going to move forward. The other guy is going down into this drainage system. This fellow may or may not follow his brother straight or just walk parallel with him. So let's get in front of him. Try and get a nice picture of him coming past. Here we go. The other one's calling again. fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, I put it on. Oh, yeah. Just warning us. Okay, let's carry on. Now we won't be able to follow them in here, everybody. I'm afraid even walking in there is difficult. They may just continue on north, you know, so let's just try and have a look. But I think that's going to be it. Oh. What a brilliant... Brilliant sighting. Mike, go again with that position. Chaps, sounds like very good news. Copy, just go with direction, confirm going north up Triple M. Okay, copy, I'm going to try and make my way there. Everybody. Shadow and her cub are heading towards Vuyatela, so she hasn't crossed over yet, but we're going to go and try and have a look there. That'll be amazing. So these lions have headed in here. We've got a slight fuel leak here. I'm going to have to get out and just have a look. The lions have disappeared down into the drainage line there, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's go back across to Bushwalk and find out what they're following up on. Oh, sorry. She didn't say cross to Bushwalk, she said they have black screen with them. So hold on one sec. Yes, it's fine. It's just a loose hose pipe. We can fix that when we get back. As long as we don't throw any open flames towards the vehicle, we should be okay. Let's just... Alright, we're going to make our way there. Sorry, Elvis, at least, Mike or Elvis, can you tell me what exactly is going on there? Confirm she has crossed north into Vuyatela? Yes. Yeah, no, I understand that. I heard that 3 times. Can you just tell me where and is she crossed into Vuyatela yet? Okay, copy. So confirm she has crossed or she's still south? There's an elephant here. Okay, we're going to drive very quickly. Kirsten, I can't copy you. Did you say that Steph is ready for a link? Steph is ready for a link, everybody. Let's head across to him.
Alright, now it's not only the lions like you've been watching that pose a danger to us on foot, it's also the little creepy crawlies, and they definitely what I love looking at most. Welcome back to the Bushwalk, and we found a little surprise for you. Hiding under this log is something that is of the insect world, one of the lions. Come and have a look here.
I have seen her, but I haven't seen her or him yet, and I'm very, very excited to try with the prospect. So we're going to drive at great speed and great risk to our noses, which are now going to get chilblains, aren't they, Brian? Yes, chilblains. I'm just going to call in those lions where they've been. Stations, those 2 male lions headed east into the Molwati at Ongari cut line, unable to follow up. Righty, here we go. Now, because Steffi's having a bit of trouble with his signal, I'm afraid you will have to put up with me every so often on the Game Drive channel. because otherwise we won't get into the animal sightings, and that is very important, of course. So normally what we would do is link away when, you know, the other presenter would show you something interesting rather than you having to see us do the admin of the day. But Steph's got to test out the bushwalk in various different areas today, so yeah, I think it's going to be fairly dodgy as to the amount of signal he has. But we might be lucky. Sun has come out, Brian. It's a wonderfully beautiful day. Glorious winter skies overhead. Prospect of leopard and cub. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
And I know you're all excited to see Shadow and Cub. Get out of the way, Starling. It's much better up here on the crest. Now, Xavier, you heard that she had 2 cubs. I believe she did initially. I'm not surprised in the slightest that one of them seems to have died prematurely. That's totally normal. Probably only, I'd say, what is it, 3 in 10 male leopards get to independence, and probably only sort of 5 in 10 females. And Shadow has had particularly poor luck raising her youngsters. She is yet to raise a youngster to independence, the notable exception being Sindile. And for those of you who don't know, Sindile, now almost 2 years old, he went into rehab, so he had to spend 8 months in a rehabilitation center for a rabies scare. He's absolutely fine. They've released him again. He's okay and seems to be coming back into this area. And so that will be the first cub that she's managed to raise to independence. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised she's lost one of these ones. We don't really know why. One of the theories is that she's, for some reason, very unusually for a leopard of this area, does not hoist her kills. So she very seldom will kill something and take it into a tree, which means that if she does have cubs, they're under the constant threat of being eaten or attacked by hyenas. That said, we watched Karula the other day. She killed a male impala. There was a tree imminently close by that she could easily have dragged the cub into, but she didn't. Not the cub, it's the kill into. The cubs fed on the ground with her, so I don't know that that's necessarily the reason Shadow's been so unsuccessful. Elvis, come in. Elvis, what's your position now? Copy that. I'm on Philemon's cut line. I'll be with you in 1 minute. This is looking great, everybody. It looks like we're going to see it. I'm going to drive very fast, so hold on tight, don't spill anything. Evidence of elephants all over the place. We did have a very brief elephant sighting while you were with Steph for your 2-minute bushwalk, but we just carried on past them with the prospect of Shadow and little baby cub in the offing. Just to keep you posted, Karula has gone south again. Looks like she killed again last night, and she dragged her kill south out of our traversing area, and so she's fine. She's killing with an astonishing frequency, so doing a really good job. And of course, for those of you who are new viewers, the 2 leopards I'm talking about, Karula, a 12-year-old female. She is the mother to Shadow, who we're hopefully going to see now, and she's also got 2 little cubs, now 4 months old. Right, we're not far now, probably about 30 seconds away. Here we go. Sorry, I know this is very fast, everyone, but I'm just worried that she's going to go into some thick bush before we get a glimpse. Elephants have left booby traps all over the place. Hold on. Ow. I can see the other vehicle. And this is Elvis again. Elvis has found us some incredible sightings over the last few weeks. He has an incredible skill in the bush. don't want to make a noise, obviously. We want to arrive quickly, but then drive slowly once we're there. There. Can I make my way in, Elvis? He's lost her. Doesn't know where she is. We did see her here, though. Elvis confirmed she went east? Elvis, do you copy Elvis? Confirm she went east? Actually, I don't think he's seen her. Elvis, andi gutu gahle. Awubonanga ingwele. Sorry, excuse me one sec. Okay, so awukumanga mara vari ingenele. I'm just trying to find out exactly what's going on. I think somebody saw her coming in here, but Elvis has not actually seen her yet. I can hear squirrels behind us. Squirrels going crazy behind us. Can see tracks of hyenas on the road. So, I don't know. Let's just go forward slowly. Alright, let's go back to Bushwalk. Steph is up and running. Let's go back to him for now, and while I try and figure out what's going on here.
Welcome back to the Bushwalk. We're still trying to figure out all the little gremlins with the changes that were made yesterday to get us up and running again. But have a look at what we've got. We've got a snake skin. Now this is very fresh. I'm actually just looking at the branch that it's on to find out where the snake is, and I know it's fresh because it's still very soft. Now, as a young boy, I had a few snakes myself, and I know when my snake used to shed, it used to feel just the same. So I think this was done last night. Now, snakes shed because they get too big for their skins, and what they do is there's this oil that gets exuded, and I don't know if you can see it. It'll be a slight sheen on the actual skin. You might get it. I'm going to just twist the skin a little bit so that you can see that sheen. There we go. That's an oil that gets pushed out by the new skin and basically pops the old skin away from the new one. And then all the snake does is he literally hooks the old skin onto a branch just like this, and will just pull himself off, and it comes off in one sheet like you're seeing here. And there you go. Does it look like a pretty full-grown snake? Here's the tail. There's the caudal segment. There. Here's the rest of the snake. Now, Red, welcome. Good morning, Red. You've asked me what kind of snake this is. It's actually it's a good question, that, Red. It's difficult to tell without obviously seeing the colors of the snake and the habitat that the snake lives in. But judging from the fact that the skin was found in a branch, it's actually quite a robust skin. It's quite a thick snake that you can see here. And then have a look at these scales that we found with a wide gape with a mouth. It's pretty wide, that. I'm going to say that this is probably a boomslang. But really what you'd have to do is count those scales on the head there. You can see those scales on its head. You have to count those scales, have a look at the pattern. So take a screen grab of that if you can. And then what you also got to do is have a mid-body scale count. So here's the mid-body, around about here. And what you do is you count the scales in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 scales in that mid-body scale count. So you count them in that row there. Now I get 15 scales, might be so between 13 and 15, let's say. So you've got a mid-body scale count of between 13 and 15 scales. You've then got the pattern on the head. So just once again, there's the scale pattern on the head. What you want to do is get a screen grab of that, and then using the mid-body scale count and then those patterns on the head, you'll be able to tell me what snake this is. Now, I don't have my snake book in my backpack, unfortunately, and that has all the mid-body scale counts in there and the back of the head. But if I were to take a guess, I would say that there's probably a boomslang. I don't think it's a cobra, and I don't think it's a mamba, but definitely. Now, Justin, you just asked me if the skin has a smell to it. It does, actually, funny enough. I wasn't expecting it to have a smell, but it does. It's got quite a musty smell. I don't know if you've ever stuck your head into a snake's cage, or in a pet store, that snaky smell. It's a musty reptilian smell. I don't quite know how else to describe it. Ooh, not very pleasant, I must be honest. And we're going to leave it just here. The snake skin itself has no further value to anything except birds. Birds quite often will come and pick up snake skins just like this and weave it into their nesting material. They don't need to do that. It doesn't add any strength to the bird nest whatsoever. But what they do is, I think it's just a bit of decoration, and it's a nice piece of filament. You see some birds in the cities doing it with bits and pieces of floating fabric or floating plastic as well. Same sort of thing. So no, don't know. Good. For those of you who are working on IDing this snake, you can absolutely send the answers to questions at WildEarthTV, or you can send it through to the hashtag Safari Live, and I'll share it with everybody once you've decided to give it in. Now, I was just asked a question, I can't remember who from, but I was just asked a question as to, are the snake's colors on their skin, they're obviously not carried through to the skin. It's obviously inside the scale, and you're 100% right. This is just a covering, the skin. The scale that's underneath is the one that actually holds the color. As you can see over there, absolutely no color, just that faint sheen from the oil that was exuded. Nice. All right. I think that's that for that snake skin. Let us carry on. See what else we can find over here. It's the sun has finally decided to crest behind us, and I'm warming up my hands. Siberia Zumi, who's also watching this morning. Good morning, Siberia. You've asked me, do I have a favorite snake, or do I have a favorite reptile or insect in the bush? That's a good question, Siberia. I have a favorite animal. I quite enjoy honey badgers, followed closely by hyena. And then I'm going to say to you that I don't really have a favorite insect other than a jumping spider. I think jumping spiders are one of my favorite insects. Other than that, pretty much everything holds my interest out here in the insect or reptilian world. I'll stick my head into most bushes to go and find what I can find inside there, and take great pleasure from almost all of them. Definitely. Oh, I love combing through these bits and pieces of detritus that elephant leave behind. They can sometimes give you the most fascinating discoveries. This is a fairly old knobthorn. As you can see, the branches are busy breaking and decaying as fungus and whatnot makes its play. Quite often, just by detaching these pieces of bark, you get to see the most amazing things. Now, obviously, as a tree decays, it actually starts to release a little bit of nutrients. That nutrients attracts insects. Those insects attract predators on insects, and then further, those insects also attract birds and everything else that comes to live in wood like this that's been knocked down by elephants. This is quite an old knobthorn kill, for lack of a better word. Very pretty, and is now forming the homes for many hundreds, possibly even thousands of organisms. James, good morning, James. You've asked me which insect has the longest lifespan out here. I'd probably say one of the borer beetles, or even the definitely the spiders. One of the spiders, I'd say the baboon spiders have one of the longest lives at 27 to 35 years. But you have some wood-boring grubs that live in trees like this one behind me. They spend years getting enough energy to turn into something different, like a cicada, for instance. They can be anywhere from about 15 to 17 years, cicadas and some wood borers. The big borer beetles, the big giant click beetles, let me just think here quickly, shake the cold out of my head. The acacia click beetles or the giant click beetles, any of your jewel beetles, they're all wood boring grubs. They take many, many years, sort of 10 to 15 years to mature. Some of your ant queens and your termite queens, they are recorded at living anywhere from 17 to about 25 years. And then your baboon spiders, which are up to 27 to 35 years. So yeah, it's quite a long time in actual fact. I mean, we all think that insects are quite seasonal and that they don't live for a long time, but yet there are these grubs and there are these immature stages and the mature stages of some of these animals out here that definitely live a long time. As I walked up to this rus, I quite enjoy these russes at the moment. You've shared this many times with me on these safaris before, and these flea beetles that sort of just disembark as soon as you get close to these trees. Here we have one here that hasn't quite seen me just yet. Oh, there's even one that's just landed on my hand. Have a look at that. So there's one that's just come back to the bush, flew away when I got back in here, and then all of a sudden jumped onto me. And you can see, there he is there with those quite overly developed, and I'm going to say grossly overdeveloped back legs, because it's very rare for beetles to have jumping legs. In actual fact, I don't know of another beetle on the face of this planet that has legs designed for jumping. Have a look at this. Let me bring it a bit closer so that you can see it in the light here. There we go. Now this little beetle is not biting into me just yet. They're sucking on these russes. And for those of you who have just joined the show, firstly, welcome to the show. Secondly, we see these beetles on just these russes. These little beetles, they make an egg. Inside that egg is a larvae, a beetle larvae, and that larvae is very, very, very poisonous. If you squeeze that larvae onto an arrow or onto a spear, you juice the larvae. In other words, you squeeze it softly and you put its juice onto the back of an arrow or the back of a spear. The local bushman tale says that you'll kill a buffalo, which weighs about 1,500 pounds, in about 40 minutes. Can you believe that? It's actually the closest we've ever been to a flea beetle, hey, Dave? Yeah. You can see those huge back legs. Now what I'm going to try and do is pull out a little bit for you, and then what I'm going to do is try and make him jump onto his branch. He's already landed on my hand, so I already have to take him off. So we might as well use the opportunity to see if we can get him jumping. I'm going to try and make him jump onto his plant. Boom, gone. Now how's that, eh? Jumping for a beetle. I mean, I don't know, you're welcome to try and see if you can find another jumping beetle while we're walking, and you can send your questions through to questions@wildearth.tv, or send those answers to questions@wildearth.tv or the hashtag Safari Live. But in the meantime, I think James has got an update on what happened to Shadow and her cub possibly for you. Enjoy it.
I'd love to give you an update of Shadow and her cub, I'm afraid, but the only update I can give you, everyone, is that they are not where we are. And there was some extremely poor information given on the radio, largely because the different reserves, of course, don't operate on the same channel, and so much gets lost in translation between the different channels. And basically what happened is, we think she is on Vuyatela, she's on Djuma, but she crossed a long way to the west of where we initially thought she had, and that was about half an hour ago, so we're not sure exactly where she is, but we're going to look around here. Quite possibly in this block. She was heading in this direction. It's possible that she killed and went to fetch the cub and is bringing the cub this way. So that's what I'm hoping's happened here. There's no real other reason for them to be moving around together unless she's taking the cub to something specific. So either in here, she could have crossed the road up in this region somewhere and be in this block. So that's where we're going to have a look. Go ahead, F. Here is somebody coming beetling down from the other way. I think it's Ephraim. There's Elvis, who was also given some spurious information. Let's catch up with him. I hear. Njani kwalan? Yeah. Ankumanga mkonzo. Ukumi mkonzo. Oh. Okay. La. Tikati ingene la. Nditwe ti squirrel ti rila. Loku ndikuvitana le.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Jiga so. So Elvis says that he did find tracks, and he reckons that she's come in here. So that's good news. And I heard some squirrels alarm calling just after we handed you over to Steph. So maybe she's in this way. We're going to go down the road towards the old hyena den. That's kind of the area where we thought she was. He's going to give his guests tea there, and while they're having their tea, he's going to go off on foot and see if he can't find anything. It's a fantastic tracker, is Elvis. Hello, Justin. I'm not entirely sure about the answer to this one, but I'm going to, I will defer it to somebody who will know better, perhaps one of our leopard experts. But, Justin, I think she's called Shadow because she was difficult to find. I think that's the only reason she's called Shadow. And Shadow, of course, a ubiquitous name for animals that are difficult to find. So I think that's what it is. Now the other thing is that I mean in the radio, in my ear, the game drive radio is going along. And Ellen, I'll get back to your question now. But basically, Karula and Shadow are hanging about in the same area. And it's possible that their tracks are being confused with each other's, but I don't think so in this case. Anyway, Ellen, you say, is it possible that Karula and Shadow's cubs have been fathered by the same male leopard? It's not only possible, it is highly likely. Tingana was the only male, or the most recently, the male mating most recently with both of them. And so it's highly likely that Tingana is the father of both George and Charlotte, who I've named Karula's cubs, and that is not an official name, don't worry, and Shadow's as yet to be named cub. So we're gonna, the last time I saw Shadow, and I haven't seen her cub yet, like I said, she was in here. And she was knocking about, and Viam and I watched her for a little while, and she walked behind a bush, and there were three of us trying to find her. She just disappeared. No idea where she went. So I mean, there will be a massive amount of luck in finding this leopard if we do find her. It's warming up a bit, Brian.
It is.
You can take one of your 46 jackets off.
I'll never.
Just one.
No.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Right. Brian, of course, and I, we both feel the cold terribly. Brian possibly even more so than me. And this is juxtaposed with Brian's insistence on wearing sandals or slip-slops, which means that he has his feet wrapped up in a very substantial blanket, which is quite amusing to watch. Anyway, we had a wonderful lion sighting today. Now what we're going to do is just stop at the old hyena den here, and then we'll have a listen, see if we can hear anything else alarm calling, or perhaps see in one of the taller trees of this area a carcass draped. Although she's not, as I've just said to you, she's not very good at draping carcasses. Ah, that's quite interesting. Siberia Zumi, you make the very good point that Shadow used to be known as Tingana, and that was until the male leopard Tingana came into the area, and then she was renamed Shadow. I'd forgotten that, yes. Alright, let's just stop here and have a listen and a look around at the binoculars and just see if we can't reassess what is going on here. I see a steenbok trotting off, unfortunately not followed closely by a leopard and her cub. I tell you, the first time that you spot a leopard, even if it isn't your first leopard, when you are looking through the bush like this or tracking on foot, when those little spots suddenly come into view and you realize that they're not actually just a piece of shadow or dappled light, it is a profoundly satisfying feeling. But at the moment, not a great deal of activity, so what we'll do, we'll reverse out of here and we'll head back up and go around on Finns Road and see if we don't find something there. Steph has got the very last flowering flower in the winter.
Welcome back to our bushwalk here this morning. And for those of you who have just joined, I'm Steph, and we have found a crab spider for you. Now this flower-like crab spider is trying her very, very best to act like a flower in the hope that a bee or a fly comes and lands on her. Now she's got these very wide grabby legs. There's her front legs there. She's holding them outspread, and she will shoot these forward to grab a fly. Now what's the most amazing thing about these crab spiders for me is that their venom is keyed to completely immobilize something like a bee, which is probably bigger than what she is by a factor of about 2 to 3 times, immediately. So she will grab the bee, she will bite them with her fangs, which are located right there, and that'll immediately immobilize that bee and kill it. Now that takes a level of sophistication on that venom side that is just something absolutely incredible. And it's no coincidence then that the crab spiders that we find in this country, in actual fact the 6-eyed desert crab spider is the most venomous creature, or the most venomous spider that we find in South Africa, capable of killing a human being my size with no trouble at all, with just one bite. This, luckily, is not one of them. But come and have a look at another very interesting thing for me. I really enjoy these spiders because they've got such interesting...
Hello everybody, I'm just disrobing. You caught me at a exposed time, But you haven't seen me with my head exposed to the sun, which is a very positive thing. And if I talk to you like this, it's because underneath my hat is my microphone. Thanks to Gendre, I feel like I have a small rodent crawling about on my forehead. Anyway, let's carry on. We haven't moved from when you last saw us. Just listening. Haven't heard any further alarm calls. I'm sorry that Steph's signal is a little dodgy, but he is in known dodgy signal areas today, just testing things out. But that's okay. So we're going to go round now to the northern side of this road. That's that way there. And we'll see if she doesn't pop out over there. While Elvis walks in here on foot. It's a really nice block, this, and this drainage line has got lots of sort of places where a leopard might stash a kill. It's got a lot of termite mounds where a leopard like Shadow, who does spend time on termite mounds, might sort of use to survey the area. It's warming up very nicely. And I think it'll probably hit about 26 or 27 degrees Celsius today. That's pushing 80 in midwinter. We're almost at the solstice, only, about a week away from the solstice. But it will still be very chilly for about 6 weeks after that. Whereafter it will become like a furnace very quickly. Justin, you want to know what a good breakfast for these cold mornings is? Well, bacon and eggs, I think, is the best possible breakfast. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, definitely.
Not a cold fruit salad?
No. Cold milk in a cereal.
No. Nice and warm. And I know that we have been having porridge of late. There's been some oatmeal porridge, so those of you of Scottish ancestry will be most impressed with the porridge that we've been eating. I have avoided having the porridge because when I eat a bowl of oatmeal, you can perform open heart surgery on me thereafter because I become utterly anaesthetized by it. Some hyena tracks and elephant tracks around here. We're going to just do one loop around here. I mean, you can spend months looking for a leopard like this and not find her. There were some elephants around, so we'll go and have a look at them after this, and then we'll maybe come back here a little bit later. But otherwise, you're going to get very bored just watching me drive around and around one block. Gary, ooh, look at that. Bron, it's the white-crowned shrike that's flown away. That's starling. There we go. Good sighting, Brian. Marvellous starling sighting. Let's enjoy it. Gary, you say, does a leopard have a favourite tree that it likes to drape itself in? Yes and no. Not particularly favourite like you might have a favourite couch, but they certainly do have favourite trees that they operate in, or that you're more likely to find them in. This is actually a very good spot for us to just have a survey of this block. That bird that you're looking at is a Burchell starling. It's a juvenile. No, it's not a Burchell starling in the slightest. It is a greater blue-eared glossy starling or a Cape glossy starling. And you can see that from the fact that it is a glossy, obviously, and the fact that it has a yellow or orange eye. But all is now calm and silent. Nothing seems to be in a particular state of panic. And of course, when there are leopards around, people do panic. Right, Steph has managed to find some more signal. He's got a caterpillar to show you.
Thank you, James. We did find some more signal. We're definitely working through some of the gremlins still on this backpack for today. We've managed to make some changes yesterday. And although those changes have fixed one problem, they seem to have created some more, which isn't unusual. Don't worry. We'll get down to the bottom of it. Thank you, James. All right. And now that you were looking at that starling, starlings are insectivorous birds. Usually they pick up worms and caterpillars on the ground, but have a look at this caterpillar that we found on this weeping wattle. I just find that the forms that these caterpillars can generate in order to either look untasteful or distasteful or hide their shape is just incredible. The face of this caterpillar is actually over here, and the tail end is on that side there. I'm not going to touch this caterpillar, but I just want you to have a look. And the reason why I'm not going to touch it is because those hairs are quite irritant, and I don't want to get one on my finger and then rub my eye with it or scratch something on the side of my neck. As a young boy climbing into trees very similar to this Peltiforum, I was assailed by these hairy caterpillars at times, and they leave the most unbelievable swellings all over me. But just have a look at what you can while you can get so close with this awesome camera that we have on the Bushback, and have a look at all those protuberances and those funny little tufts of hair that they have, all the fantastic colors that these caterpillars have on them. Now they're not that color just to look pretty. They quite often are that color as a warning for animals around. Now the hairs are one thing that says very clearly, don't put me in your mouth, I will stick in your throat and make you swell up. But the colors also tell animals that, or birds, animals, insects, other things, that this is distasteful to taste, or distasteful. Quite often these caterpillars, very similar to those flea beetles we were having a look at a little bit earlier, can synthesize compounds in their bodies that is either very, very poisonous or distasteful, bitter, leaving your mouth all dry. And that's what those colors that you can see there, the white and the black and the yellow or the orange and the red. Aposomatic coloring. Oh, there we go. I've actually managed to get myself out the sun there. See some of its colors and those funky tufts of hair that they've got all over the back and the body. Very nice. Been a beautiful morning this morning so far, to be quite honest. It's a very clear winter's day. I think we finally managed to crest out of our autumn. There's no real sort of official autumn and winter and spring and summer in South Africa. Just for me generally, I always mark the first day of winter as being the 1st of June, and we come out of winter again on the 1st of September, where we have our spring. And then that lasts probably until about the 1st of November, where I mark the beginning of our summer. And then 1st of November to about the 1st of April is when I mark our summer, and then from 1st of April to the 1st of June again is my spring, my autumn, excuse me. That's just me. Matt, you've asked all the way from Michigan, and it's evening there for you still, while it's morning here for us. You've asked, do I have ladybugs here? Matt, yes, we do have ladybugs here. I'll see if I can find you one. I mean, they are pretty rare this time of the year. They tend to be quite summer orientated, but with us meandering through these bushes, who knows what we're going to find. I'll absolutely keep my eye open for you, Matt. No problem. Alright, now looking underneath all these stumps, this is how we find you all those interesting little beetles and scorpions and spiders. We've even found 1 or 2 snakes lifting up these things. Now you'll notice how I lift up these stumps is I look carefully where I put my finger. I don't just want to put my finger anywhere, and I generally lift up a stump facing it away from me, giving anything that was living here time to run out away from me, not towards me. As you can see, not much living underneath these stumps. Now, watching me touch all these stumps and getting my fingers into all these nooks and crannies, I'm sure Anna Marie has asked this question because of that. Is what time of the day would be best to see baboon spiders? Anna Marie, when you're lifting up stumps like this, you could see baboon spiders any time of the day, but generally they are nocturnal. In other words, they move around at night time. And you find male baboon spiders in particular will wander during the evenings in summertime. In wintertime, generally these baboon spiders, in particular the males, are tucked up underneath stumps and pieces of bark like we're looking at. And why I keep on going about males is the fact that females are sedentary. They dig a tunnel into the ground, and when they become an adult, they lose the ability to dig another tunnel. So when they're immature, they'll dig a couple of tunnels, widen the tunnel that they've got. They may move to a different area. And they dig a tunnel probably about as long as my stick. So about, let me say 2 feet, can go down to about a maximum of about 2 feet. And these baboon spiders then live in about this much of the hole. They spin a web on the top of the ground, and then they sit, and as soon as an insect trips over one of their trip lines, they come out and grab it and go back inside again. And they don't leave this hole for their whole 35 years that they spend there. And that's a very old spider, of course, but still up to 35 years in captivity, some of these baboon spiders, or tarantulas as you call them in your part of the world, are. Alright, let's have a last look underneath this stump just before we send you over to James. Nothing that I can see, which means that I can, without further ado, send you over to James for an update.
Well, that's not quite shadow, everybody, but it is a fork-tailed drongo. And a fork-tailed drongo in and of itself, of course, is just as important in the greater scheme of things, I suppose, than shadow. We're just sitting around here, a bit of a bird party going on. We're probably going to call this quits pretty soon and go off to see if we can find some elephants, which we did see earlier on. But we'll stay in the general vicinity, and then we might be lucky. We'll just roll our way slowly down here. Hello, Jenna Brown. I went on a date with a girl called Jenna Brown once. She was she was about a foot taller than me. It was never going to work. Anyway, Jenna Brown, I was going to assume you're not the same Jenna Brown. You say, what is my favourite bird? My favourite bird, Jenna Brown, is the Cape Robin. And I've told this story before, but when I lived in town, teaching the ungrateful children of the rich how to play the guitar, I lived in Johannesburg, which is not exactly a wilderness hotspot of the world. But the one thing that used to keep me connected to the wild was a little Cape Robin that used to sing outside my window every morning. And I didn't have an unpleasant time in Johannesburg at all, but there was a distinct lack of the wilderness, and the Cape Robin was my little touch point with the wild. And so since then, the sound of the Cape Robin and just seeing the Cape Robin is my favourite. But we don't get them here, so the nearest thing we have here is something called a white-browed scrub robin. And the white-browed scrub robin goes... And I'll play you the Cape Robin too. Just simply, we're going to stop here and listen very briefly. I've now got so much nonsense in this car that I'm not sure I can find my phone to play you the sound of the Cape Robin. Let me quickly play it for you while we listen out to see if there's anything alarm calling, or perhaps the telltale crunch of bones as Shadow and her cub devour something. This is the Cape Robin's call. Ah, yes. Takes me straight back. And a cold winter's morning in Johannesburg, this little robin would sit. Oh yeah, I need to point it to this microphone now. This little bird would sit on a sort of a green reedy thing underneath the garden tap, and it would sing like this. It was wonderful. There are some very undelighted francolins calling. They're quite far away. Alright, let's carry on, Brian.
Alright.
What say you?
Yeah.
I suppose I should... You know what, I'm being actually very remiss by not showing you a picture of the Cape Robin quickly. In fact, I'll show you a photograph of the Cape Robin, everybody. You shall be so amazed. It's not the most spectacular bird in the world, but I think they're very lovely. There's one. Oh, come on. Can you see that at all, Brian? Or was the reflection too horrific? Hopeless, Brian. Brian is going to change a setting, and then you will see my photograph of the Cape Robin. This is purely because my ego wishes to show you the photograph that I took of the Cape Robin. You got it there, Brian? There we go. There he is. So not a particularly impressive bird, size-wise, but I enjoy him very much. Marvellous. Thank you, Brian. Well done. Well achieved. Let me just close that down. And off we go. Now, my phone, of course, is supposed to be on aeroplane mode, but I think I forgot to do that this morning. So some junk mail peddler has just sent me a message about funeral cover or some special offer. I also, I'm sure many of you get these around the world, but we get many SMSs out here from long-lost relatives who happen to live in Nigeria, and they constantly have come into great fortunes of money to which they wish to avail, to give to you. If only you'll just give them your bank account details and pay them just 5,000 Rand, you can make $1 million almost immediately. I don't know if many of you know what they mean, or have seen these kind of scams that go on, but we get lots of them out here. I don't think many people fall for them anymore, but obviously sufficient numbers of them fall for them for people to still engage in it. Let's pop down to Treehouse Dam. And we did see some elephants further to the east, and we'll go and see if we can find them again. Elvis and Ephraim are around this area, so they'll be looking for shadow as well. Maybe something will turn up, maybe it will not. But I got to tell you, it's so tempting to just drive very, very slowly along here because the vegetation is thinning as the winter progresses, and so you can really kind of see into these blocks. I saw a branch that looked like a leopard that I know is not a leopard, but I'm going to have to look with my binoculars anyway. No, it's a branch, Brian. It's not a leopard. But there is the call of the black-headed oriole, which is also a very pleasant call. Particularly poor rendition of that call. Right, down to the dam we go. I do wonder where those lions have gone. I'm sorry we couldn't follow them for a bit longer in that golden light, but totally impossible to get into that drainage system in a vehicle. Oh. He wasn't very impressed that we drove straight past him, I have to tell you. He's got a look on his face that says, "What am I? Chopped liver." Hello, Beefy. Sorry to have driven past you. Very ungracious of us when you're standing there model-like in the sun. Would help if you turned this way. Look at him ruminating quietly. Another night survived, unmolested by lions. Could you look here? We did stop for you. Come on. Did you see his whole body convulse there? No, you haven't got the whole picture. His whole body convulsed as he put a new bolus into his mouth to chew his cud. Here comes Elvis or Ephraim. Obviously no success at this stage. I don't know who this is. There we go, now the beefy's looking at us. Say hello. Ah, hey, you coming on? You go here, kui. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Alright. Inkom. Okay. Inkom. Enjoy your drive. So I'm just getting another update. He didn't have anything new to tell us, I'm afraid. Chewing, chewing, chewing. Now watch his body. When he swallows, it's actually quite interesting to watch. So just keep watching him. I know he's not a particularly astoundingly amazing animal in that he's not doing much, but just watch as he convulses and chews his cud. Watch his whole body now. It's so horrible. You know, vomiting, of course, is one of the least pleasant things a human being can ever do. But if you're a ruminant, you do it by default all the time, every day. Ugh. Glad we don't have to do that. I imagine that the waves of nausea that come with us being sick don't occur here. And those teeth will grind and grind and grind away. And we've got a couple of examples of those teeth in the tent. And the enamel and dentine of the teeth gets consistently worn away. So the teeth have to grow continuously. Here he goes again. Chris, this is an astounding question. You say, do people wrestle buffalo in South Africa? Chris, I assure you that were this animal to be wrestled, it would be the very last animal that the wrestler ever wrestled, because these chaps are not to be played with. They are very easily upset and very easily threatened. And although that buffalo looks about as docile as a sort of stuffed taxidermied animal, they get very cross very quickly. And quite unlike Daisy the cow, they will take you out at a moment's notice if they feel threatened. So were you to ever get into proximity close enough to grab a buffalo by its horns, I can assure you you wouldn't be coming out of it even if you were the best animal wrestler in the world. No. Chris, they are not to be messed with. Go ahead, Ephraim.